do you know how to make that advert perform? I'm like, no, tell me. He's like, well, you've gone round. If you go square. It's like this. Welcome to the first podcast. This is the first in hopefully a long series. We're here in Viva Training Centre, and with me I have Pete Indle.
How do?
Pete Indle is one of our top trainers. He's a pedigree trainer in the heating industry. He doesn't like me, over-egging it too much. Like. You tell him, who are you then, Pete? Who are you?
Who am I? I'm a gas engineer cum trainer.
Gas engineer cum trainer.
And I like to be understated.
He likes to be understated, and all our trainees give him like 5 stars.
Well,
all of them, 5 stars. So we wanted to talk a little bit about the industry, a little bit about what we do here, a little bit about, what do you want to talk about as well, Pete?
Talk about how we started.
So how did we start? Well,
How did you start?
Well, so my dad's a gas engineer, and so as a lad, I was running around fixing boilers with my old man. I say fixing boilers, it makes it sound like I was fixing them, but he was
fixing them.
He was fixing them. I was passing him the screwdrivers and helping him with the map reading. It used to be a big box of A to Zs, and we used to do for carers, so we covered a big part of the country because they didn't have like so many service engineers back then. So we'd be out on a Saturday, on a night time.
What for carers?
School holidays. Back then.
Excels, Flowmatics, that type of stuff.
Well, so my dad joined Vicare when Vicare first launched into the UK market. So whatever their first ever boilers were.
It might have been Flowmatic.
Maybe.
I remember working on them.
I wasn't paying any attention to what we were working on back then.
So you were a good apprentice then?
Well, do you know, it didn't. I was so young that the type of I knew it were a combi boiler.
Yeah.
And I knew it had a pump, and I knew it had a gas valve, and I knew we had to get screwdrivers out, and I knew that he had to get stuck in, and we got stuck in, and he normally fixed them because he were pretty good, and he were a gas. He were working on gas before. We're ACOPS that came out first.
Well, we were Corgi to start with, weren't we?
So before
we were ACOPS qualified.
Before you had to be qualified, you could work on gas, couldn't you?
You were just Corgi registered.
Yeah, Corgi.
And you didn't even have to be Corgi registered.
Exactly. So that's when he were working on gas.
Yeah, that's when I were doing it.
Yeah, and then ACOPS came out, and you had to be qualified then.
Yeah.
And I remember him coming home from work one time, and he's like, "I've got to go take exams. I've got to go take exams to do what I'm already doing. What's that about? And he was quite worried. I remember him being quite worried. And he went and he did his exams. And I think it was a one-day thing back then. And he went and he did it, and he passed, and he got qualified, and then he continued. And then
how old's your dad?
I don't know. It's wrong of me not to know, isn't it? But I know my mum's 71. No, she's 72. And he's a little bit younger. So he's going to be mid-60s or something by now, maybe a little bit more towards 70. I'm not 100%. I should know.
But there were a lot of gas engineers all about my age, weren't there? My age and your dad's age.
Yeah.
Loads of us.
Yeah.
Which is coming to an end, isn't it?
Well, the average age of gas engineers now is 55, 57 probably now,
Yeah, I'm 57. I must be an average gas engineer then.
Average Joe.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, I did the same thing.
Yeah.
My dad was a plumber.
Yeah.
We did some gas, not much.
Yeah.
But I were in back of his van. But his van... What were your dad's van?
What were it?
Yeah.
It would the run-of-the-mill vans, but so it would be a Renault or a Fiat or a Ford or but I can't remember which.
Morris Minor 1000.
Let's not forget that you're a bit older than me, Pete.
Moggy Minor.
Moggy Minor.
Yeah, blue and white.
Yeah.
Morris Minor van. I just remember me and our kid being sat in the back of that.
Yeah.
and on alt tools because there were no chairs or anything back of it. We just sat in tools
Or
because you could
belts.
do that.
Yeah.
You could do that in them
You could
days.
stack the kids high in the back, couldn't you? No problem.
And then he got a Moscovich Russian thing.
Really?
Yeah, brand new.
Yeah.
And he had it all Zybat treated and stuff to stop it rusting, because they were known for rusting. And it were spot on. It was his first new van that he'd ever got,
Really?
and it got written off. Someone drove into it and smashed it. It was gutted.
That's not good, is it?
Yeah, but we used to be back of that.
Yeah.
Passing tools, so we did glazing and all kinds of stuff, guttering and
Yeah.
when I was a kid.
But that's when, so plumbers, you used to do plumbing and gas.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a plumber or a gas engineer, it was the whole lot,
We
wasn't
did
it?
everything, yeah.
You know, and then they separated it off. When did they separate it off?
I suppose more when it got official, wasn't it? When it said you had to be
Qualified. Because not everybody went and got qualified, and then it.
Yeah, because I wasn't qualified when I started. I was just started as an apprentice plumber, and we did a lot of solid fuel heating then. When I started, fitting park rays and stuff like that, and then that kind of died a bit of a death with I think after miners' strike.
Right.
And people started shying away a bit from coal and went more onto gas. So we started doing gas then. And that's when I kind of got into it, doing heating. And we were fitting lots of central heating.
So what year would that have been?
It were 80s, early 80s.
80s.
84 or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it'd be about then when I'd be going around with my old man
Yeah.
and just passing him screwdrivers and stuff. Generational difference there, I reckon.
Yeah, so I was doing it then. As a young bloke, just as an apprentice. I remember my first job.
Yeah.
Do you remember your first job that you ever did?
As a qualified gas engineer, I
No,
do.
no, just as a dodgy cowboy gas engineer, because that's all I'll have been at the time.
Well, I was never a dodgy cowboy engineer. mate.
Ah, right. Yeah. You were qualified right from day one. Yeah, I won, because I didn't have to be. And I'll admit,
Generational.
I'll admit, I didn't know what I was doing really.
I could tell you my first job was a qualified gas engineer, and I saw my backside.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, because I didn't know all the ins and outs because I wasn't qualified and I didn't have to be qualified.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing really, because
Yeah.
I didn't really know what. I only knew what people had told me.
Yeah.
And they told me wrong.
And what were your job? What were the job?
Well, the job, I was fitting a central heating boiler, and it was a glowworm space saver. Big balanced flue cast iron heat exchanger and all that, and a cylinder up in a loft. And I was putting it in to do hot water on it, and he was going to add on to it and put central heating on by himself with a guy who owned the place. And I'd put, I think I put a couple of zone valves in or something like that. So I kind of left it zoned off, ready to go for heating side.
Yeah.
And didn't have a van. My only transport was my bike.
Yeah.
And I used to I got everything delivered to his house. And I put my tools on back at bike. And I used to go there after work doing a govy job as an apprentice.
Yeah. Well, you remind me of when I were over in Spain. So when I left school, apprenticeships for gas had all passed. So the year before, British Gas had done a massive intake the year before and stuff. So it wasn't there. So I did a technician's apprenticeship in mechanical engineering, and then same four walls, big manufacturing place. I kind of fell out of love with it. Same four walls, same people, day in, day out. After a few years, and then I went off and did some other stuff. Ended up moving to Spain. My folks moved to Spain, so my dad and my mum moved to Spain. Moved over there, working. He was doing some property development, fixing stuff, putting products in, different stuff. So I did some work with him, and I didn't have a van then, and I'd rented a moped. So I rented this moped, and I got a box of tools, and I could slot my box of tools where you put your feet on the moped, and I used to drive down the mountain into Marbella, do loads of work and stuff. Stick it all back in the box on the moped, back up the mountain out of Marbella, you know.
Sounds good.
Well, certainly sunnier than it is here.
Yeah. But I've still got one of the tools that I had from when I was 16, but it's only one. The only one I've still got.
Yeah.
It's a hammer, claw hammer.
Right.
Stanley claw hammer.
Yeah.
With a wood shaft.
That's, yeah.
And it's the only one I've got left.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
But you've got it.
I still use it.
Yeah. How many? So it's had 10
It's
new
had
heads.
some hammer.
10
new heads, 5 new shafts.
7 new shafts.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's good. But it's the same hammer.
Yeah, same hammer.
Same hammer.
Yeah, it's not same shaft, same head. Yeah, yeah, I'm not called Trigger.
You're not gonna.
So
Yeah. Selling peck and water next.
yeah, so after that, really, as an apprentice, because that's all I wore at the time.
Yeah.
For a plumbing firm, I didn't work for my dad. I tried working with my dad when I left school, but I was a teenager.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what they're like.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. I mean, working with your family, it's not always easy.
I want easiest to get on with.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're a little prat.
Scallywag.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, it didn't really work out first 6 months at work, which I did with my dad.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot from him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because my dad was an old school plumber doing lead work and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I got a job then working for a small firm in Leeds where we did hot solid fuel and all that, and then got in at central heating. And then I went self-employed when I was 21.
21. That's a good age to go self-employed.
And I got a kid on the way.
Wow.
We lived in a council flat. I met Alice and we lived in her flat.
Yeah.
And then I knew I had to be earning some coin.
Yeah.
I went self-employed then. Fitting central heating systems, loads of them.
Yeah.
And I was fitting Sonia Deval. Thelias, I think they called them. They were absolute dog shite. Rubbish. Yeah. And them and Alpha Ocean boilers.
Alpha Ocean. We were in Alpha last week.
Yeah, they weren't very good either.
Yeah.
But it were early days, wasn't it, for combis?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, originally when combis first came out, they nearly failed as a concept because there were that many sort of incept ideas, if you like.
Loads of different ways of doing it.
Loads of different ways of doing it, but then not a lot of knowledge around engineers for putting them in as well. So people were making it up as they went along. And so a lot of things failed, and so much failed that they nearly withdrew the idea of a combi boiler. I mean, I can remember putting a heating system in with my dad when we moved house to Birstall, and he got these plans out for putting the system together, and cylinder went in, and then there were these air separators and these, you know, there were lots of different fangled stuff, so it looked like you were building an old organ rather than putting in a modern central heating system. There was a lot of different ideas and ways that you could solve the same thing when these heating systems first went in, weren't they, you know?
I remember the first one I ever saw, which were a Valent combi. I was with my dad at the time, and he'd never seen one.
Yeah.
Well, it might have been a Sign 18 or something like that.
Right.
Lost.
Yeah.
You know, Sign 18? No. It had an enamel top on it and a really big, massive front case on it.
Yeah.
And we thought, what the bloody hell's this?
Yeah.
Why has it got cold water? What's this loop here? What's that joining cold water into the boiler for? We just...
Yeah. How's that legal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the first one we'd seen. And then I've worked on loads of them since. When I worked for myself for a bit then at 21 for about 10 years or so. And I ended up working with my dad again.
Yeah.
When I was a bit more mature.
Yeah.
And we were all right then.
And it went well then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I'd just had enough of working for myself then. Because I would just... when I started and I looked in Yellow Pages, because I was advertising in Yellow Pages, there were like...
Yeah.
On the Corgi section for Leeds and Bradford, there were about 8 of us. So, really, if I'd had my head switched on and business-wise, which I'm not a businessman, I'm just not. I'm no interest really in it. And I could have had a firm and bloody all loads of stuff, but...
If you'd been that way inclined.
But I won't. So I just earned my crust and that was it, go on. I'm just doing the same today as well, aren't I, Rich? Yeah.
You're doing more than earning your crust. You're making a difference, and I think that's something that's special about this place. To be honest, we do definitely make a difference. so I were over in Spain with my old man doing some property development and this and that and the other, learning the craft really, you know, because I'd done a technician's apprenticeship in mechanical engineering, so that's like proper engineering, not this gas engineering.
Not just putting stuff together.
Not just putting stuff, not with massive tolerances and floppy pipes and stuff.
Have you wiped a joint?
Wiped a joint? Of course I've wiped a joint.
Have you a plumbing joint? I bet you have.
I'm sure I have. I'm sure my old man's had me wiped joints before.
Bit joint, maybe.
Back in the day.
Proper.
No, but we moved to lead locks and stuff, didn't we? Yeah. And easier ways of doing stuff. And so then they moved to South Africa. So I came back to England because I'd not got a family lined up. I was probably 25, 26 or something. And I'm thinking I probably will be ready to settle down at some point in the nearer future. So I don't want to end up in South Africa because I just didn't feel that was the place I wanted to put, you know, roots down really. So I came back to England and then I started my own plumbing business, if you like. And again, it was just with a box of tools. I borrowed 100 quid off my gran, got a Ford Orion, drove around in that. My first job, charged a good amount of money for the first job, all fair and square and stuff. Got half up front, bought myself a van on that job, you know, and cracked on from there. And so built this plumbing business, got into bathrooms, niched in bathrooms for a bit, done every type of concealed shower valve you could imagine, done every kind of walk-in shower and tiled them, all that wet floor stuff that you could imagine. And you can only go around it so many times before it does become like you're just doing the same thing and you've cracked it, you know. So I thought, well, I was studying a plumber's merchant, so I used to see the gas engineers coming in, and they always seemed a bit happier than plumbers. They
were probably cleaner as well.
Definitely cleaner,
yeah.
a bit happier. They always seemed to have a bit more brass as well, to be fair, you know. And I remember asking this guy when he was stood next to me at the thing, I'm like, how much do gas engineers earn? He's like, oh, I couldn't possibly tell you. And it was like proper closed shop, closed industry. You're not getting past the parapet. You're da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, well, I think, you know, the apple doesn't drop far. I'm going to have to go and do this gas. I'm going to have to put myself through my gas. And so I did. And I put myself through like this gas MLP. You know, they called it a fast track and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think there's still a resemblance of the fast track, you know,
MLP stuff,
reputation around it, you know. But back then, I mean, so we're in Sheffield, a training centre that's not there anymore, and we spent so much time in the classroom, and like not no time, but next to no time. It felt like in the workshop. It was so disappointing because like it's all this stuff that I'd been out as a kid doing with my dad, being with him, fixing all these boilers and stuff. And I thought I'll go on this gas course and we'll be straight into boilers and we'll be straight fixing stuff and I'll learn what he were doing all them years ago, but in a way that is trained like from A to Z rather than just learn a bit here, learn a bit there. And because he's not talking me through each operation, he's just like, I think, you know, I think the diverter valve's gone, but he's not really said why he thinks that. And then we go get one and replace it and it works and hey presto, he's fixed another one and off we go, you know. So I'm thinking we're going to get straight into this like learning gas engineering. A bit like when I did my engineering apprenticeship and we did a full year off the job training, where we were a full year in the workshop turning, milling, fabricating, welding, electrical work, all that sort of stuff.
Because there's a lot of skill in that.
There's a lot of skill, yeah.
There's a lot more hand-on skill with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of theory in ours as well, though. There's a lot of theory and a lot of back knowledge that you need, I think.
We spent, so in the engineering apprenticeship, we spent a lot of time in the classroom as well. So it was like an HNC, so it was quite academic, but there was so much time in the workshop versus when I went to do my gas training, and there was very little time in the workshop, you know. And so I was so disappointed, and I got through it, and I did my portfolio stuff, and I got my qualification, and then, you know, I got on and I started to build a business and stuff. But when I was doing that training then, I think that's when I got the original idea that, you know, this could be done better, really. You know, somebody should be doing this better than how it's being delivered here, and started to develop a little bit of a vision then, but definitely shelved that vision because I had to go off and, you know, do some
a crust and what have you,
gas engineering and you know, well, and a crust I did okay. I mean, I started to grow my gas business. Did a couple of years getting experience, going and putting. So you talk about the first job. My first breakdown job. So I got qualified, and then I got my first breakdown job. It were over in York, and you're talking about Yellow Pages. So when I got qualified and got Yellow Pages, get an advert in Yellow Pages. That's what we all do. So they came round to sell me this advert in Yellow Pages, and there were probably 7 or 8 full double-page spreads of adverts of people in Yellow Pages. And I'm thinking, how do I stand out in this? And so my first advert, I decided I'd make a round advert because everybody else's was square, and I thought I'll make it, I'll do that. And then this advert.
You know what that's called, don't you? Thinking outside the box.
Outside the box.
Yeah.
So I thought outside the box, got this round advert, and he came back 12 months later, right? I shit you not. And I'm like, it's like, I'm hoping he's going to give me my money back, because it's like, he's probably got 2 jobs out of this advert, and it's probably paid for itself, but I've just done them 2 jobs to pay for adverts. So I'm working for Yellow Pages on those 2 jobs, just to pay my bill. So I'm hoping he's going to give me my money back. I didn't, I didn't think he really would, but that's kind of more where I was stood. And he says, do you know what it is? I'm like, what? He says, do you know how to make that advert perform? I'm like, no, tell me. He's like, well, you've gone round. If you go square, it's like this.
So you weren't getting much work out of it?
Not at Yellow Pages, mate.
Hell.
No.
I got absolutely tons. But
there were 3 people advertising when you first turned up.
Honestly, the phone never stopped. It never stopped. It was ringing all the time.
No, so I had to get a bit cuter about work.
And remember, this was just as mobile. I'd only just got a mobile phone as well, so they weren't out then.
No, and it didn't even have Snake on your first one, did it?
Yeah, no, I don't think it did.
I bet it didn't. No. Not your first one.
And the suitcase that you had to carry battery in.
Yeah?
No, it wasn't that bad.
I'm on the phone.
But it was big. It wasn't as big as that one, though.
Yeah. But now it's everything, though.
Yeah,
now
it's everything.
It's everything.
All your advertising, that lot, everything's on that.
Yeah, it's good. So I did that for a couple of years, and I had to get cuter, and I had to get digital. So I was straight into digital, straight into social media, straight into that sort of stuff to get work. And I did okay, but it were always a fight to get work. Like in your day, you had it, fish were jumping into your basket.
Yeah.
For me, I were out at sea for time, pulling my nets and pulling them up, and there were just, bits and bobs in there, sort of thing. It were graft. And then I decided I wanted to be a mass boiler installer. I don't know why I wanted to be a mass boiler installer. I just thought, be a mass boiler installer. That's what I want to do. And then my dad said, he says, look, the Eon are doing a grant for retired folks for a couple of £100 for a heating grant for winter. Why don't you see if you can get on that? And I phoned Eon up, and they says, no, we're just stopping at the end of this month, but it's all going into eco. So I'm like, eco? What's eco? Well, it's the energy company obligation, and maybe you want to go and research that, and see you later. So I went and researched, and I thought, okay, let's get on this. And it was like an 18 months out for launch sort of thing. So I did a lot of research, a lot of groundwork, put all the systems and procedures and all that stuff in place, employed my friend to build a quality management system and stuff, and launched that. And then in the first year of doing that, we grew the business 50%. And then in the second year, we grew 800%. And then in the third year, we grew another 100% of the entire growth.
Yeah.
And so we ended up at, like $1.5 million in turnover, installing 1,000 boilers from Harrogate down to Birmingham and coast to coast, a team of 65 people. And and little old me from me manning a van from, moped round Spain with a toolbox on and £100 and a toolbox, with a Ford Orion. We'd got a decent sized carry on, but not so big when you look up, because when you look up, the next guy up, he's doing 5,000 a year, and you're thinking, flipping heck, 5,000? How do you get to that, But a lot of this were eco work, and it was with, the landscape of the eco network. It's tricky to navigate, I think, is where I'll put that, Tricky being like, dumbing it down quite a lot, and the people that's in there, some of them are not so wholesome, and then people went bust on me for thousands of pounds here and thousands of pounds there, and I had one at utilities withhold £140,000 for retained £140,000 for like 13 or 14 months, and I had to cash flow that. And by the time we finished, we were knocked for about another 100 grand or something. We did get the 140 from the utility and stuff, but it's like that's a lot of stress and pressure when the idea we just want to install a lot of boilers. We just want to install a lot and we did, but it's like it's what comes with that. And then so the thing was we had to figure out as a business, and so me and my office manager started researching and looking at where we might go from there. And then this notion of a training centre kept coming around. It came around, and then we'd look at other things like, should we get into smart metering? Should we get into solar? Should we get into renewables? Is heat pumps ready yet? And heat pumps ready it won't pop in that respect just yet. And then I was talking to somebody on LinkedIn, and then they put me in touch with a firm up in Darlington or up that way, and about doing smart metering. So I went to see him about smart metering, and the next thing he's got a full training centre up there that's closed because it went wrong for them basically. And he's talking about, well, why don't we do a training centre together, But then one thing led to another, and I didn't think we were a good match to work together. So I thought that's not good. And then the next thing is the insolvency company phoned me up. I can't quite remember how we linked together. Phoned me up and said, well, we're pulling everything out. Do you want to buy it? It's like a fire sale, which is the wrong sort of phrase for a gas training centre. But, fire sale it was. So I thought, well, okay then. And I went and got a load of kit, brought it down. We had some space here. So I put it in the space from all the other activities we were doing. And then started, building the training centre. And I think we'd got downstairs the assessment centre sorted. We'd got a classroom and an office and a bit of facility. And I'd just taken on the workshop upstairs to bolster this vision for really getting hands-on for people. When you came, when things changed in your career, and you came to see us to see if we were going to do something.
Oh, I think I got a phone call from you. I think I was headhunted.
I think you were definitely headhunted. I thought, looked at your CV, and I thought if I can get that guy to come and share my vision, then that'd be spectacular,
Yeah. Well, I didn't have any formal training at all to start with.
Yeah.
Just an apprenticeship.
Yeah.
And the firm that I worked, we already had an apprentice.
Yeah.
Going to college, and they said it were absolutely useless. So they wouldn't let me go, and I was gutted.
Yeah.
And the fact as well, I think they knew my dad were a plumber, and they thought, oh, he's just come here to get training and he's going to bugger off, which I won't going to do.
Yeah.
So I kind of learned on the job a lot, which were all hands-on.
Yeah.
Lack of theory, though.
Yeah.
Lack of theory, and what theory you did get wasn't necessarily right.
Yeah.
And so I kind of worked for myself for a bit after my apprenticeship finished, not really knowing what I was doing, as I should have done.
Yeah.
And then I thought, right, well, what I'll do, because I'm going to get doing more and more central heating stuff, I'll get Corgi registered, get official.
Yeah.
Went on a few training courses here and there, different colleges all over the place.
Yeah.
Went to some in Manchester as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Learning about combis, because combis were fairly new at the time. And I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed that.
But back then, combis were a lot more mechanical.
Yeah, there were lots.
So you could work your way around something on the mechanical parts, couldn't you?
Yeah. But I didn't know, knowing how they all worked.
Yeah.
Finding out how they worked and what made them tick. So, yeah, I did that. And then I thought, right, I'll get Corgi registered. And the Corgi guy came out to see you like he does. And he sat down, started asking me a lot of questions. I didn't know. I didn't have a clue what he was talking about. Didn't have a clue because he was going on about all open fluid stuff, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And I know where guys come from because they say, oh, we don't see open fluid stuff. We don't have nothing to do with it. Well, I had nothing to do with it, really.
Yeah.
And then, so yeah, he's asked me all this stuff. I hadn't a clue. Ventilation and all that lot. Didn't have an idea what he was on about. He says, I think you best go to college, lad. So I went, yeah, all right. And I went to Leeds College of Building.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Still
went
there?
Yeah. Went there for, I think it was only for a week.
Yeah.
Did a week's training there. Got me qualifications because I were already kind of doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
So it wasn't hard to pick up. And that were ACOPs.
Yeah.
And then I carried on working for myself then for about another, I'd say maybe another 10 years. But all this time my kids were growing up and I were always at work.
Yeah.
Always, weekends, nights, like you do.
Yeah.
And I just got to a point where I'd had enough. But I need to change and do something else.
Yeah. Calm it down a bit.
Yeah, me and our lass were probably always arguing and stuff because I were never there and, always at work. And she showed me an advert for BG asking, they were recruiting people, so I went there. She forced me into going and I went and they said, yeah, come on. So I went with them. They give us a load of training when I started.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, they're good for that, definitely.
Yeah, really good training at the time. I can't say what it's like now, but
Well,
that's
it's
what we
still the same. I mean, we've had trainees go that way, haven't we?
Yeah.
We've had 20 or more trainees join British Gas.
Yeah, so it was good for training. I learned loads of stuff and kind of progressed my way up through BG then and stayed with them for a few years until got made redundant because I ended up as a trainer at BG, which I always envisaged myself doing that actually.
Doing the training, yeah.
But when I got I started at BG and I joined them and I was getting trained by these guys and I'm thinking, bloody hell, I've got a good job.
This is the right.
This is the
this
thing.
is the
I
job.
could see myself doing this job
Yeah.
in a few years' time,
Yeah.
like 20 years.
Yeah, yeah,
Then.
yeah.
And so.
But that's the other thing though, about the gas industry, particularly, or most industries, I guess, is there's way more to it than meets the eye. So you might go into a house and you see a fire and a boiler and a cooker and you think, well, that's the gas appliances and there's a gas meter and some gas pipe work. But the amount of different roles and opportunities that's in the industry, I mean, how have you seen the industry change? So you've talked about when you came into the industry. What about, today? I mean, it's not that long since you hung your gloves up, so to speak, for actually being out there practically. We're talking 12 months.
I was still doing a bit when I got a job here.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you had that cracking van, all done proper, BG styly, all right.
It wasn't BG style.
Well, it were Hindle styly, but it could be mistaken for a very corporate, van.
Yeah, because I didn't envisage myself going back into training when I left BG when I got made redundant from then because I'd just probably a bit cheesed off at the time.
Yeah.
Thinking that I'd got a job for life and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I thought I'll just go back on tools and that's what I know. So
yeah.
And with influence that they'd give you about, your advertising and all that kind of stuff.
And organisation as well.
And all that.
Yeah.
So that's why Van looked like it did.
Yeah, the dog's dangle is like.
Yeah. So, but then you phoned me up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Pete, yeah. And what did you say to me when you walked in workshop, Pete?
You don't want to know. You don't want me to repeat because you keep reminding me.
Go on, we walked in workshops. So I'd had a couple of other trainers come and I'd gone into a workshop and I knew it was sparse in there because it would just, we were just unfolding. So it was the vision.
I didn't know you were just unfolding, did I?
Unfolding the workshop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, other trainers had gone in there with me and they were very,
polite,
very respectful. And I explained what was going to happen in there, and they were like, "Brilliant! Why did you thought about? Yeah, maybe we'll do that. That sounds really good. We could do that as well. And we're going to have all these bays, we're going to have all these boilers, we're going to have all this really good stuff, and in there we're going to do all this amazing stuff, boiler studio stuff and whatnot." And they'd be like, "Yeah, it sounds great. When can I start? And then so me and you went in there, and we walked in. It felt quite cold. It felt quite frosty.
What was frosty?
You and
I wasn't frosty.
what you want cold, you want frosty. But what did you say?
What did I say? I just said somewhat like, am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, I swear.
So you got some fucking work to do in here, haven't you?
And it was true. We did.
We did.
We did. We did.
But I tell it like it is.
I know. I know.
And we have done some work in there.
So the difference between then and now,
Oh yeah, massive.
night and day.
Yeah.
I mean, when I come to look at how I grew the boiler business, and I think earlier I said 50, 100, and then 800, but we're actually 100, 800, and then 100% in growth over 3 years. Which, for me, that's just. I don't know how to put this, but it's kind of just how I do things. I wasn't aiming for this, rapid growth thing. I could just see it coming, and I could figure out a way of doing it, and I just got on and did it. But then you talk to some people, and they're really, it's impressive growth to some people is that sort of number of how you develop a business, and it's not often that businesses grow in that way, but that's kind of the effort and motivation I put into things just to get things going. So when you look at us through COVID and stuff, I think even through COVID we grew like 400% or something, which is staggering when you.
Well, we were still working through COVID, weren't we?
Well, we were told. We were told that we were to stay open to serve the gas engineers to make sure that their qualifications weren't going to lapse, even though there's this national pandemic.
Because they were emergency. Well, I forgot what they said. They were one
Key workers.
Key workers.
That's it. Yeah. We're all key workers. So we had mass. We had, all the scrubs and stuff, didn't we? And we had it going on. But so when we go into the workshop now, it's absolutely packed with gas appliances and
useful hands-on stuff.
All that useful hands-on stuff
Yeah.
that I felt were completely lacking from when I did my training, and we've designed and built it every step of the way, and it's been like a labour of love putting that workshop together.
Yeah. And I don't think, right, I mean, we'll never stop. We're going to keep developing it.
Yeah, of course we are.
There's more to do in there.
Yeah.
There's always more to do.
Yeah.
And the boiler studio is fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, oh, it's amazing.
That's really good.
Yeah.
The other workshop, it's got everything you need in it.
Yeah.
And you can see it's well used, and it is well used.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. We could just do with more space, but then we've got a lot of space in the mill, haven't we?
Yeah.
And there is no more space available. I mean, because like since the workshop, we took this whole floor, which is, I can't remember how many square meters this floor is, but it's like, so you got 3, 10 by, it's probably 200 square meters or something.
It's massive, isn't it, really?
Yeah, and it was just a blank space. So then we've got to put in all the walls, we've got to put in all the heating system, we've got to put in. So we've put three different live air source heat pump arrangements in the studio. We've built the Daikin Sustainable Home Centre, which you had a lot of fun putting all that together.
Yeah.
So we've got a really good showroom in there. Then I had my COVID gym, so I had my gym.
Gym had to come out
up there. That had to get closed, and we had for a nice breakout room, so there's more space for our trainees and customers to hang out and chill and stuff.
It's a proper college, isn't it? Or proper academy, isn't it?
A skills training centre, I think, is the right term for it now. Because we can take somebody from they didn't know anything about the industry. And so they could have been doing accounting, or they could have been doing soliciting, or they could be.
We've got a couple of, what shall I say? I'm going to call them hairdressers.
Hairdressers?
Right. It really pisses them off, but I'm going to call them hairdressers because they are barbers, but we'll call them hairdressers.
So we've got hairdressers.
Yeah, and to be fair, they've done a bit of pipe work in there the other week with Paul, one of the other trainers.
Doing all right.
There's what best out of a lot.
Amazing, yeah. Attention to detail, you see. Yeah. Attention to detail.
Maybe they are worthy of cutting your hair.
Yeah, absolutely. So you should try them.
I know, I should. Because last one I went to a right butcher.
So we got every walk of life possible, or every career type possible, that either from a serious plumber that's not qualified, so in terms of the nearest to having some sort of experience within the industry of gas, but it's a different world to plumbing. Through to the people that have got no experience, completely green, and we can take them from completely green through to a fully qualified gas engineer with experience on the patch, you know. And as I say to everybody, you can't get 10 years experience in 6 months or 12 months. You've got to get to a point where you're able to go out there and get the experience, you know, and do that. But you can go and do that safely and confidently, having as a result of doing the training with us, yourself, Roy, Paul, you know.
But the guys that have come and got stuck into it, have done well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Some of them have done really well.
Yeah. Well, there's a string of people, you know, that come back and they come and do more training and progress, and that. So my thing and your thing about the apprenticeship scheme, in its essence, for younger people, it tends to be for younger people, the apprenticeship scheme, because people, a mature person can't take that time out. And
they can't afford to get paid them wages as an apprentice.
And get paid the wages. So we tailor this to do like this, to deliver this progressive learning, but to mature people. And we take them from zero to fully qualified gas engineer, heating engineer, to then we can upskill them to air source heat pumps and renewable technologies. They can come back and do all the fault finding stuff in the boiler studio. So things like that just didn't exist when I qualified. No. For outside of BG, you couldn't really go somewhere. You'd go to manufacturers and learn, but you'd be sold more on their kit than you would be able to fix their kit. They were more interested in then engaging you. But this is like, it's just a free, open, this is how you fix boilers, this is your transferable skills, this is how you approach the job, and we're not trying to sell you a boiler in the process, you know?
Yeah. So we're not bothered what boiler you fit.
Yeah, and then we've got...
you fit it right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we've got as F-gas downstairs, so you can do the refrigeration. When I was in Spain, I used to fit a lot of air conditioning over there. So we've been working on improving the journey and the ability of these trainees as they're coming through, and gas engineers when they come back through, and upskilling and that sort of stuff. And then we're looking at the interesting part of how we're individually wanting to progress, but how our progressions affect and impact on the lives of others.
Massively.
So you want to get good at what you do, and then you deliver it to people. I want to get good at what I do and deliver, you know, to raise the standards, to improve the standard of, you know, somebody's earning potential and their life and their livelihood and all that sort of stuff.
It is, because it's changing lives.
Yeah.
Definitely changing lives.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had, I'm not going to name any names, but we've had people who've really turned their lives around here. Massively.
You know? with the challenge and the skill level that they've developed as a result of coming from here. Or they've challenged the way through getting the skill level, got the skills, gone out, got an improver's role with one of the big six, or with a national
or just a reputable firm,
or some really good reputable firms. Some with a man in advance.
Some have gone on their own.
Yeah. Declan, one of our first trainees. Andy Stokes.
A couple of Andys.
Yeah, they're doing really. Yeah, there's the list is long of the amount of people that we've impacted on their lives.
Too long to remember all of them.
Yeah. Well, I think we've both got short-term memory issues. Though,
mine's age. What's yours?
Mine's. That's for a different podcast. Definitely. So it's like, where would you like to see us in the next, 3-5 years?
More facilities.
More facilities, yeah.
Yeah, definitely more, and loads of students.
Loads of students, more facilities.
Yeah.
And absolutely. And for me, it's more infrastructure for the journey of the trainees, and more support and infrastructure. We already do a lot, and I think we're positioned as one of the best training centres for the lengths that we're prepared to go to support our trainees. and make sure that it's a genuine training and a genuine qualification. And if you're not up to the bar, then we'll bring you back for some more training before, we'll let you.
And it is genuine, and I'd say that's a major thing.
Yeah,
Massively. We're not going to just let anyone get through.
No, we can't do that. That's not right. So then we look at how we can make sure we can reach anybody that's coming through as well. So we try to make sure that we can, we don't fail somebody and write them off. We figure out what we can do to get them to where they need to be.
Yeah.
But then, so we've got, obviously there's the whole renewables sector it's bubbling away underneath, even though the UK's got the least, well, it's 22 out of 23
for now,
for heat pumps.
But
it's bubbling away.
Yeah.
So it's about to take off.
Yeah.
It's about to go, massive. And so then the MCS and the MCS umbrella, the fact that we've launched this plumbers merchants, if you like, the renewable merchant. We've relaunched the installation side so that we can do what we preach, and we can, I'd like to see us creating job opportunities for our trainees coming through that way as well, and we can do on the patch stuff. So it's really exciting times. It's really exciting times.
Yeah, and I come and do my bit and go on.
You come do your bit, bezzing on your bike, look cool.
Yeah, and that's it.
Get your 5-star reviews.
And
week in, week out.
Go home, sleep, come back.
Go home, sleep, repeat.
You've got me for the next 10 years, mate.
That's good.
That's it.
10 years will do for me.
Yeah, and that's all you're getting.
So how...
I don't know, you might get the odd day and there. You might get the odd bit.
Yeah. So hopefully you've enjoyed that. It's been great spending some time with Pete. We don't often get to spend so much time just, shooting the breeze and talking through things. If you can like, share, subscribe, that would be amazing. And I've been Richard Firth.
Yeah. Pete Indle.
Been Pete Indle. We'll see you on the next one.